Hey Patreon supporters and Key West kayak fishing viewers, doing something a little different today. Today's video is going to be Where the Money Going number 15. Now these videos I usually just post to my Patreon account, so only my Patreon supporters can view them. But today's a little different, so I figured I'll go ahead and just post it on my regular account as well, since it's a little bit off the mark. But anyways, as always, I always want to start off with a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. They're the ones that are truly supporting the channel. They crack open that wallet and throw cash at me, and I take that cash and I invest it back into the Key West kayak fishing channel. Basically buy stuff that's been broken, lost, something I want to try out, and etc. And for instance, you're looking at a new GoPro camera that I'm using. Out the window you might see the new kayak I've got, but that's basically where that money's going. And I do these kind of monthly videos to show that I'm not spending that money on hookers and coke. But so like always, I always want to start off with a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. Truly means a lot. And also, any of that money that's left over, if I don't spend it on the channel, I invest it into the All About the Bait store, which helps me to bring in new product or more of a product so I don't sell out so fast. So it all gets spent wisely, so thank you very much. Well, today's video is, like I said, it's going to be a little bit different. It kind of shows how just something little can just basically just throw off the rails and just create chaos. And in today's video, it's all about that and where all that money's gonna go for this month. That. Now I did say it was that, but actually it's that, which is the source of all my problems. So a few months ago, this lock stopped working. I could turn it, but it doesn't unlock, it doesn't unlock, and you can see it doesn't go, I can't pull it out now, so I have to kind of force it up and down, and then it'll pull out, but it effectively does nothing. Now I don't have a key fob, so I have to manually use the keys, but inside on the driver's door, I do have a lock and unlock button here. But the problem is that I can hit the unlock, and then it immediately locks by itself, and that's on all the locks, so it cycles everything. So I just have a split second and then it locks. Now the hassle or inconvenience factor was kind of a lot, but it wasn't horrible. Basically the key still worked in the passenger side door, so what I would have to do is I would have to unlock that door, climb in here, and the button for the physically manually unlocking it was very hard, so I couldn't unlock it with that hand because it would quickly go back to locked. I'd have to manually push on it and then hit the lever, but you really can't do it with one hand. So I'd have to reach across, hold the button with my one hand open, and then hit the lever. And the driver's door is set up so it automatically shuts. So it's a pain in the butt. So what I end up doing is that I'd put my ignition key in the ignition, kind of just turn on the accessories, roll down the window, then I'd walk back around, I'd reach in, I could hit the button, and then if I grab the handle really quickly, I could use the electronic unlock to undo it, or I could use my left hand to hold the button and then my right hand to do the outdoor lever and get the door open that way. Then whenever I use the car, I would just leave the windows down regardless. Raining, no matter if I had to run in somewhere, I just leave the window down, so at least I could access the driver's side door by reaching in and locking it each time. Pain in the butt. Now, isolated problem, but this is where things start going off the rails. Then what started happening is that my car battery started dying. So I'd come out in the morning and the car wouldn't start. It'd be a dead battery. Like, what the heck? I just thought it was kind of something happening between the two. But then again, it was a couple years old battery. That's kind of the lifespan down here in the heat. So I was like, okay, so that was something I had to change. So what that meant was a new battery. But these fits come with a tiny battery, that just like a motorcycle battery that sits across here. I saw that guys were doing an upgrade, getting a larger capacity battery, and then if you take out the plastic carrier, cut down the battery tray, you can put it at an angle and make a larger battery fit. So that was one of the things I did there. But wait, there's more. That battery started dying. It would last about a week, and then all of a sudden, click, click, click in the morning, and that battery would be dead. So what that meant was there's some sort of phantom battery drain. So I got to the fuse box here, all those little guys, and then I went through and hooked up a multimeter to inline to my negative battery cable, and then I started by plucking out each one of these fuses, going down the rows, trying to find which one that draw was coming from. Went through every single one of them, and nothing changed until I got right up into here, and there's a covered one, and then right below it, underneath the cover, there's actually another fuse. And then when I took that one out, that was the cause of the problem. What that one fuse covers is, of course, this lock, the dome light, the cargo light, and the radio. So that caused the drain, which was killing my battery. Now I'm pretty certain because the lock mechanism is messed up, it's not allowing the circuit to close, which is causing that fuse or the power to go through there, which is draining the battery. So what that meant I had to do is, in order to not kill the battery, is that I either at nighttime when I stopped driving the car, I either had to undo the negative battery cable in the motor compartment, or each time I would have to pull out that one fuse. And that kind of resolved that problem, but again, hassle factor and a half. Then that gets us to that video a few videos back where people are idiots. And when I meant people, I meant me. So I was going to meet up with Fred and Chuck at the boat launch. We're going to test out his new trailer and stuff. And they pulled out, so I wanted to go out and actually film the new trailer and his new truck. So I unlock the car real quick, that gets it there, and then it automatically locks. I happened to get out and it was at an angle, and then the door shut on me and it was locked because it automatically locks, and this freaking door almost always just shuts by itself, which meant I could call a locksmith from either Islamorada or Key West, and then the service call, the time trip charge, and everything to try to pick this lock. I thought it would be a problem because that lock over there will force all the locks to keep locking, so I didn't even know if he could pick it or not. So hence, goodbye side window. Just crunch this baby out, reach in, and I was able to unlock it. But again, because of that one problem, I lost the side mirror window there. This ended up, I replaced it myself. It was $66 off of eBay. Then the glue was another $25. But it actually had a good part to the story. I went back to that same launch a couple of days later, and I had launched my kayak, got it all set up, came back, parked my car. I was putting on sunscreen, and I looked in the rearview mirror and I saw my kayak drifting away. So I jumped out of the car, was gonna go sprint after it before it got too far out, and then I heard my door shut, clunk, and I locked myself out again. But fortunately, in the meantime, before I got the glass, so I had it duct taped all up here. So I just had to peel back the duct tape, reach in and lock it. And there was one benefit to having that broken window. I didn't have to do it twice. So after that fiasco, I really had to get serious about fixing this motor here. It's basically, I kind of did a lot of internet research, and it's a common problem on these earlier Hondas is there's an actuator that messes up, and then it just causes the similar problems. So one of the things I wanted to do was take it down so I can at least check it, and that caused me to have to try to take out this. I got these two out, and then I stripped that one. Nightmare. So still haven't got that fixed yet, but I went ahead and got the right drill bit and then a screw extractor, so hopefully I can get that out, because those things are on there really tight. The actual unit, which is the only way that you can generally replace these, run around $300. But what I found out is that you could just replace the actuator motor, which tends to be the majority of the problem, which is this guy, which is like $7 versus $300. And no, you can't use just the component kits like the 2011 and later models. This 2009, 2010 base unit or fits, they put that system in there was a complete unit, and there's no way to change out the components, but without just doing just the motor. So the prior and the later models, you can get a $40 half component and just replace that half, and it fixes the problem. This car, you have to replace the whole thing, $300, or you can try to do it yourself, and if you can do it correctly, replace the little actuator motor, $7 plus $9 for new bolt screws to replace that, and then the screw extractor and drill bits. Hopefully I could salvage it. If I strip that out, then I have to get a whole new actuator because it has the bolt plate as well. So that's one route I'm going. Then we have the other route that I have to deal with as well. Okay, so that is the one direction, which is actually fixing that door lock on the actual car, and hopefully it resolves all the other issues of the auto locking and so forth. But in the meantime, I found by doing a lot of research that it was possible to add a key fob, which is the button remote, to these cars. Now on my key that came with it, it's the base fit. Okay, it's just a standard key, but it does have the transponder built into it, which is basically the little chip that has to talk to the car. So when you turn the ignition on, it says, communicates, yeah, you have the actual key, and allows the fuel pump to stay on, and then you can drive and so forth. So I got that, but it didn't have the key fob. But what I learned on the internet is that the car, even though it doesn't come with it, it has the ability to add it to it. The actual components on the car is there. You just need to get the transponder key for it. And the kit that they sell to convert it is $200. But what the kit consists of is just the key fob and blank. And that's all you're paying $200 for. But what some smart people figured out is that you can also just order the accessory key for the upgraded sport model, which is this guy, which is a blank key, which has the fob built in it, the unlock, and panic, as well as the chip in it that just needs to be programmed, the key needs to be cut. But you can get these from the dealer for $50 or $60. Well, I went online and on eBay, I found an OEM one for $35. So I went ahead and ordered that, okay? And you're able to program it yourself by using the ignition on, hit the button, ignition button, just a bunch of different steps. And then you can get the key fob to work, even though you didn't have it originally set up as a base model. And it worked, and I was super happy. So now I have this system here, which cost me $35. So now I can lock and unlock. Well, it locks by itself, but now I can at least remotely unlock it. Problem with that, well, it's inconvenience or cost-wise, is that I need to have this cut, and I also need to have the transponder programmed, and you kind of have to do that either at a dealership, which is up in Key Largo, so 60 miles, 70 miles away from me, or find a local locksmith who has the machinery to cut these keys as well as to program them. Now, there's no locksmiths in Marathon. The only one I could find is up in Isla Mirada or Key West. And both of them, I think, are the remote where they're just working out of a truck. So you have to call them out and so forth. And I haven't priced it, but I bet you it's going to be pretty pricey. The dealer's price is generally around $150 to $150 to cut and program a key. So that's why the $200, what they quote originally. So I got to get that done with this one, and then I'll have a working key fob that actually keys the car as well. But then, okay, that still was just concerning me. It's going to be a while to do that. So I bought a second one of these, but not a OEM Honda one. I just got a generic one off of Amazon. So I was able to program, which is this one. This had the key on it. I just went ahead and programmed to make it work. So now I have 2 fobs. Then I cut off the base of the keys because I don't need that. Okay, so now I have a key fob with my standard key, so I can at least unlock it, or I could roll up my windows and walk away. It locks and I can unlock it remotely using this. So that kind of gets me back on the road again. But, okay, just in case I have those problems, because when I go fishing, I go to these remote launches where there's nobody there. That's why I bought the jump start box in case my battery died. There's not going to be any other cars around. I could jump my car. I bought the battery operated air pump for my tires in case I get a flat way out there. I could pump my tires up. So that made me think, better get one of these guys, a little magnetic key box that I can keep under the car, and then I could either put just one of the fobs so I can at least unlock the door if I need to, or I could just put my second regular spare key in there. So if I ever have that happen where I lock the car and it gets locked up, because even though I have the key fob, it doesn't help if this gets locked in the car like I did before. And it doesn't help if I have a spare key and it's in my dry box, which is still in the car, because I get out of the car before I actually go in to get into my kayak. So my original thoughts were keep the spare key in my dry box, because when I go out and I lock my keys and then I'm walking away, I always have my dry box because I'm going to go into the kayak to launch it, so forth. No worries, I got a spare key, I lock it, get in, I get the keys, and I go. But as happened the last 2 times, I got out of the car for some other reason, and I don't have my dry box, and these spare keys are locked in there. So even though I have a fob, it's not going to help if it's stuck inside of the car. So, boom, spare key, stick it in somewhere so I can get it, and I'll be done. So that is my story on where the money's going for this month. I still have to hopefully replace that actuator in the driver door. Hopefully I can get that strip screw out. Otherwise it's $300. I get a whole new unit. I have to drill it out. Or if that motor is not the problem, then I just have to buy an all new actuator that, like I said, 300 bucks. I still need to go get this cut. 150 bucks plus the drive time to go up to Key Largo, so major hassle factor. So it's not over yet, but that's kind of where some of the money's gone. And an example for you guys that are not part of my Patreon, those are the kind of videos that I'm putting out where all the money goes that I get. But again, thank you to my Patreon supporters. It makes life so much easier. I would really kick myself in the butt if I locked my keys in and spent all this money for all those mistakes that I've made and not having the money to put into the kayak like the red one there that I'll be working on next. But again, thank you guys so much for your support. Again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next video. Bye.